Hello, folks. Hello, welcome to a Techthusiasm Live podcast. What are we? Monday, September 8th. Thanks, everybody, for turning out. A couple minutes late. It's just running through the end of my day here. It's a super busy season. Super busy season in the day job. Busy Monday, but can't complain at all. So it's been 2 weeks since we last live streamed. Actually missed last week with the Labor Day holiday. So 2 weeks to catch up on, CEDIA to catch up on. I hope everybody had a great couple weeks. I hope you had a great long weekend. If you're in the U.S., of course, holiday weekend, last weekend. Kids getting back to school and all sorts of stuff going on. Embracing fall. Temperatures are nice, feeling nice and cool finally after this hot, humid Southeast Michigan summer. Although I think we're getting back up, at least into the upper 70s here, but wearing jeans for the first time this season, but feeling good. And yeah, we had a couple of good weekends in between here, a lot of family time, visiting, barbecues, like at the Michigan State Fair on the Monday. That's why we didn't live stream last week, at the State Fair all day Monday with some close friends. And good time this past weekend. Some content consumption. No movies. I haven't watched a movie in the last 2 weeks, but we'll catch up on some content, catch up on some news. The content of the last couple of videos, some of the things that I was excited about with the news coming out of CEDIA. Unfortunately, I didn't actually make the CEDIA show this year. I would probably expect that it will have to be on my activity list and my engagement list starting in 2026, especially as I continue to grow the business opportunities and the dealer operations and stuff like that. So going there to interact with brands and focus on building relationships and creating opportunity to talk with folks, and all of that is going to be very much a necessity going forward. So and it would be a fun time. I think there's more to see there across the board, I think, and probably actually do some trainings as well, be able to learn and not just collaborate with the brands and stuff, but kind of learn about the business side, the industry side of things a little bit more. So shout out to some few folks, a lot of friends here. Welcome, Julius. Welcome, Chintaput. Welcome, Michael. Let me know who else is out there. What's going on? What have you been doing in your home theater setups this past week or past 2 weeks? And particularly if any of the CEDIA news has you excited for anything. So I think there's definitely some stuff to get excited about. I think there's some stuff to be maybe less enthused about. I was hoping to maybe find more exciting news than I was actually able to kind of drum up just by doing some searching and seeing what other content and stuff was out there. But to recap, at least for the stuff that I've published in the last couple of days, I think the three videos that I made and kind of published through the weekend spoke to some of the things out of CEDIA that I was most excited about hearing about. I think that the JVC firmware announcement was pretty big, I think, all things considered. So of course, out of these projector cycles, it's pretty common. I don't think I'm spoiling anything or I'm giving away. I'm not saying this based on any insider knowledge as a JVC dealer, but just observing as somebody that's paid attention to the hobby and the JVC life cycles and stuff like that over the last couple of cycles, is it seems to be about every 3 or so years we get the new models, from my NX model to the follow-up models to the NZ models to the NZ 100 X00 models that we have right now. Those cycles tend to run 3 years, and I remain completely impressed with how much augmentation JVC makes to the projectors in the off years. So on an off cycle new product year, I always go into CEDIA with hope and expectation. Expectation's never a good thing, but sometimes you can be let down. But with good expectation that we're going to see some cool stuff coming to the JVC projectors and whatnot. So the software drop is big. So there's a whole video on that. A lot of like image processing improvements, HDR processing improvements, and usability elements like the dynamic lighting of the menus, the contextual help that's going to pop up in the overlays of the menus describing all the settings and the details and stuff. Love that feature on the MadVR. I appreciate it very much there. And I think every device that has a UI overlay should really be presenting information on the screen, explaining what the setting is, some context about what it does and what it is, and then providing some details on if you set it to this or that, this is why you might want to. This is what you're going to get. This is why you may want to choose one option over another. So I think it'll be interesting to see some of the presentation of how the new firmware looks. And how much picture quality they're actually able to add to the unit with the image processing and HDR processing and stuff that they're doing. I think they're almost trying to come up to level, or come up closer to, or up against the level, the quality, the HDR processing and tone mapping capability, quality level that you get out of an external video processor in the unit itself. So, telling that the announced upgrades are only coming to the 800 and the 900, at least for now. I think some of those changes have to come to the 5 and the 700. I presume that they will. We'll see what happens, but the major, like, picture processing and picture improvement elements coming to those units, I think, speaks to the idea that the 800 and the 900 are stronger units. They have better processors, they have better chips, they have better processing capability to be able to tackle more like image processing features and workflow and stuff in the projector itself. So it's cool that they're tapping into that, and I don't mind that they didn't, that they maybe weren't able to, or that they didn't deploy those features across the whole projector line. I think actually, in some respects, I would even say the JVC projector line may benefit from some differentiation in the levels, like give some more, put some more horsepower, picture power, presentation improvement, or whatever, so that as you step up in the line, you're realizing some of the differences. I think I think that actually helps the line a little bit to justify that the NZ900 and even the 800 at their price points, right? It's not just about lumens and achievable contrast and stuff like that, but these units are capable of some things that the lower power, lower model units in the line are not capable of. So I thought that was pretty cool. Blown away by the MadVR announcements. So they did the dynamic subtitle. They did the dynamic subtitle overlay feature at Audio Advice, and I thought that was pretty cool. And I figured, hey, maybe we'll see some more elements of software updates and perhaps another new feature or two coming to the line. But to see basically the line refreshed was quite a surprise, and I think pretty cool. Not necessarily unexpected when you really consider the prospects of the GPUs and where NVIDIA is in their product cycle. So the 5000 series cards have been available for a while now. Of course, that's been a terrible product in terms of its launch and availability and price point for some time. So it made sense that, like, I think MadVR wasn't going to jump into 5000 series cards right away when they were like essentially vaporware, or it's like a paper launch. The cards just weren't available. The prices were all like crazy at retail and whatnot. And so, for that, I think it made sense to kind of trickle along, or go as long as they could with the 4000 series cards. And then now that we're kind of at mass market now, finally with the 5000 series, the 4000 series is out, pretty much end of life. Tying the new model to the new card, I think makes a lot of sense. And so stepping up to the 5000 is cool. Should bring a lot of capability to all the units in the lineup. And it'll be interesting to see how that works out in terms of new features coming, how they balance things out, how much GPU power do you need to do certain features that they may add, or even potentially be able to maybe add more premium software features to the higher level model and be able to trickle down some of the existing features to the lower end models. I think they have a lot of market positioning and technical capability, choice and flexibility that the new cards and stuff bring in. And so I think in the press release as well, it wasn't even just a GPU upgrade. There was a CPU upgrade, RAM upgrade, and all of that. So pretty nice. And of course, a massive gaming focus coming in. So I think that's probably one big reason maybe that a lot of folks haven't considered a video processor in their setup, is because they also have gaming sources, and gaming and video processing just really doesn't mix. The more, and I can attest to this in my own room, right? Basically, the more you do to kind of complicate the chain for processing video, non 16:9 aspect ratio screens, adding lenses and things for anamorphic picture processing, and then putting more and more processing in the chain in between some of those like physical elements of your projection system. It becomes very challenging to actually run video games if you want to run them well with some of the newer quality and capabilities that video games can do. When you consider things like VRR, although in a projection setup, VRR doesn't really factor very much, but higher refresh rates and 4K and higher bandwidths and stuff like that. So exciting to see them basically take the MadVR product line in a direction, the Envy product line, in a direction whereby it will be very gaming capable. And so that will de-complicate many a system, I think, and eliminate the need to be doing bypass outputs and running second HDMI lines, or potentially like bypassing the video processor altogether, which is kind of how I have my system wired right now. I actually do have two HDMI lines running from the AVM90 to my projector. One of them goes through the MadVR, one of them bypasses the Envy as well. But even as it is, like video games would be complicated in the setup with the lens and all of that. So I think more and more people as well potentially could be adding these processors to televisions for certain features or desires and whatnot. So being able to have all your sources go through that video chain, go through that video processor to the display, I think is to the benefit of the product line. And so supporting HDMI 2.1, supporting the bandwidth on the capture and the output side is awesome. Being able, even supporting VRR for the people that are doing it with flat panels and have that type of setup. So that's pretty exciting. And of course, the low latency modes and stuff that come with it should all be well capable and able to be managed within the system as well, specifically because like we can do things like profiles and manage all of that stuff in the MadVR. So I think that will be pretty cool to see. I'll have to see what happens. For my personal need, I don't know that I have a crazy need to necessarily upgrade. Of course, it's always nice. I exist outside of the general cost benefit analysis equation of a lot of this stuff now by virtue of being able to want to have it, experience it, make content about it, and then be able to like showcase it and demonstrate for people that come over to experience the system and sample things. So my desire to upgrade may lean a little bit more onto those sides versus potentially any specific thing that I may take advantage of, because I think as my needs still exist, as I use the theater for certain things and don't use it for certain things, gaming upstairs I think still remains kind of my more paramount focus than desiring to or attempting to bring gaming down to the theater. I think if I were gaming on console, I would be very much more likely on console. I'd be very much more likely to do it, because the prospect of having potentially two like PS5 Pros, one upstairs and one downstairs, is an accessible proposition. Whereas having two gaming PCs is not. I'm not going to double spend the kind of money to have discrete sources. And I've tried in the past, very much so, to take a single PC and do like a dual video output. I've tried to make the content on it, and the failure modes of it, the complications of it, and certain things work and certain things don't. I've bailed on every attempt to actually try to film and document that type of setup. I haven't been able to successfully make it work. I guess conceivably, if I wanted to, there's other things that you could try with like in-house streaming apps and stuff like that, Moonlight, or even just I think the straight Steam app will do it, to be able to the game off of the PC, leave it connected in one zone, but then access the games and play the games in a secondary zone. Maybe some of that stuff has come a little bit further, but as it is, most of our gaming as well, I don't need two simultaneous zones. At least the stuff that my son and I are largely playing, we either just pass the controller back and forth for single player, or we're playing like same screen co-op stuff like we're playing right now. I'll talk a little bit about that when we kind of chat about content consumption and things going on. But anyway, long story short, I'm not overly pressed to bring gaming down to the theater room. I think the theater room is still largely for me, still largely a video viewing space. Although if we do move forward with the screen change and either get to a 16:9 screen or something that's less scope and more native to a 16:9-ish image, maybe that will change the equation a little bit, because it will definitely change the processing side of things. Regardless of upgrading the Envy from the Mark II to the Mark III for gaming, I'd still have to deal with the lens and whatnot. So we'll see how that shakes out. But still, exciting announcement nonetheless, and I think it will help a lot of folks that were kind of gaming locked out of a video processor choice, or specifically like a MadVR Envy that they might have wanted to add to their system. So anyway, so that was kind of my number 2. And then the third video that I made was the Dolby Vision 2 announcement, which I think is interesting. We haven't had, feels like it's been a while since we've had movement, something new coming to the HDR standard space. We went from HDR10 to HDR10 Plus, I think was the last real like major HDR revision and whatnot that has come along. And I don't think that really accomplished much of anything. Like HDR10 Plus seems very weakly adopted. Kaleidoscape didn't go to HDR10 Plus; they went to Dolby Vision. I think there's still some spottiness about like what TVs do what and so on. So I feel like HDR10 Plus was a little bit of a miss. It'll be interesting to see now how quickly Dolby Vision 2 may proliferate. And I think it's also interesting, they're incorporating AI because it's the buzzy thing to do. Everybody wants to launch some kind of an AI feature. I'm dealing this with my own software planning and daily work activities and stuff as well. Kind of a need and a push and a bit of a pressure to make things AI, or be using AI for various purposes. So it's techy and catchy for them to do like the AI motion processing, which I think is interesting, like bringing some AI based compensation, motion compensation, image compensation, and whatnot to the Dolby Vision 2 stuff. I think it could be it's cool to see it moving forward to bring in some really like more advanced and kind of unique stuff. So anyway, I think the big question will be, again, how quickly does it proliferate? So Hisense was the one brand that was marketed in the announcement as kind of being part of the launch and part of the initial support sequence here. But I think there's a lot of questions to come. So I know there's a comment about it. I'll get to some comments in a second. But of course, we have an Apple event tomorrow. Is Apple going to drop an Apple TV 2? Will it be tomorrow? I don't know, but or not. I keep calling it the Apple TV 2. This is actually like the Apple TV 5. But the next Apple TV revision, may it support Dolby Vision 2? It seems pretty likely that it might, I would say at this point now. Kaleidoscape, what will it take for a Strato V or Strato E to be a Dolby Vision 2 capable device? Will it be field updatable, firmware updatable? It'd be a question. And then I think after that, we need to really look to CES to tell the tale or paint the picture of what Dolby Vision is going to mean. Dolby Vision 2 is going to mean across the technology space and the TV space and whatnot. When all the new TV models get announced, I think we'll see right away whether it's prolifically supported or it's not. And will that bring in, Aceran, you mentioned this as well. Samsung TVs don't do Dolby Vision. Maybe they'll start doing Dolby Vision too. Maybe not. We won't. I don't think we'll know until we get to CES. So yeah, so that was kind of the big 3 things. Other than that, I didn't find kind of disappointingly, I didn't find a whole lot of other interesting stuff coming out of CEDIA. So I'm kind of curious what other folks have seen. I did see, I guess, from some other folks that I follow on Facebook or whatever, other folks that I like. Sorry, I'm trying to get a window up here in the background. Other folks that I knew that were there, like, okay, Crestron announced some new remote controls, so there was some new things related to that. There was, I think I saw some YouTube thumbnails where folks are like, oh, everybody's always excited about the big subwoofers. How big can we make subwoofers? And there were some more of those at the show. Like, okay, that's cool, but how many people actually buy those things and put them in their houses? So is that really a super factor? Like the big crazy stuff is cool and fine at all, but like I really want to see things that all of us, right, are going to actually use. So um from that perspective, I think I was kind of disappointed. If we look at like some of the congratulations to all the winners, the best of show Resi Systems, twice best of show awards and best of show award winners. What do we got? Aspire, WAC Group, Ventrix Lighting Power Control Systems. There's a lot of stuff there. Um, BZB Gear 4K at 60 hertz wireless HDMI extender. That's kind of cool. Multi-receiver support. I may have an installation coming up here soon where a customer is going to upgrade a projector and may need a wireless HDMI extender. Crestron Home OS. Yeah, I don't know. Furion Aurora Partial Sun LED Outdoor Smart TV. I feel like this kind of stuff is constant at CEDIA, but it's just so specific, and it's so like integrator specific as well. Now the Strato, Kaleidoscape, MadVR, of course, Samsung OLED TVs, soundbars. It's like there's nothing in this list that's super exciting. There's the list of best of show award winners in general is like so long that it's like if if everybody wins, is anybody actually the best? Snap One Control 4 X4. I still need to do a little bit more with that. I have the X4 stuff running here. A couple of other Snap One things. Apex Technologies, Apex Cinema Hub. Not sure what that is. AV Pro Edge. Again, like real detailed integrator stuff. Crestron, Daylight Myriad Electric Screen System, Epson Pro Cinema LS9000. It's like you just pretty much take everything that's new and put it on the best in show list. JVC NZ700, Kaleidoscape players, MadVR, NAD Blu-ray streaming amplifier. So, yeah. And then, the Trinnov. That's the one thing that I didn't make I probably should have made a video on that as well. The Trinnov Altitude CI looks pretty cool. I did get some of the information about that ahead of time as well, continuing to try to evaluate Trinnov a little bit more and think about kind of opportunity and positioning and stuff around around that. Kind of we'll see where that goes. The new product is interesting. The one big question that I have though, and I haven't done the research to answer for myself, is it's a small unit. So I believe it doesn't have XLR outputs on it. You can buy it to enable like a certain quantity of channels and all that stuff. Camera's going crazy. But it has like the Dante ports, I think, which tie specifically to their amplifiers. So I'm not sure if you're going to buy the Altitude CI, do you need to buy Trinnov amplifiers, or maybe they make cables that branch out to like many XLRs for your interconnects and stuff. But so I need to reacquaint myself with that. I kind of put some of my efforts that I had been putting that way on hold a little bit, but I need to revisit them. But that's a product line that I want to get more involved with kind of going forward. So we'll see where things go. All right, let's catch up on some comments. So let's see. Chintaput, yeah, no new AVRs. I don't know that I saw any news about any new AVRs like at all. And the one company, of course, that I would have liked to see something from would have been Anthem. And I don't think I saw a single press release. I don't think I saw a single press release. They advertised Anthem expands at CEDIA Expo 2025. These are from like 2 weeks ago. But I was hoping to see the same thing. MRX 540, AVM 70. These are just kind of like press pictures. Summer sounds better. Oh, this was just promoting their sale. They had a 15% off sale. Maybe that was like the only Anthem news. That was a couple weeks ago as well. So hope folks were able to maybe take advantage of that if you've been on the fence. Anthem stuff tends to go on sale, it feels like, a couple times a year. Just a couple times a year. So this mid-ish year sale happened now, and then there may be another one historically kind of around the holidays. But yeah, the fun starts tomorrow. Paradigm is about to make waves at CEDIA 2025, but I didn't see anybody I didn't see anybody actually releasing any news or comments and stuff about what they were showing. But the thing that I was really hoping to see from them would have been firmware updates. Basically, I wanted from Anthem something similar to what we got from GVC, which was a big old statement of new capability coming to power up the existing STR, MRX, and AVM models. And if it happened, I haven't yet crossed paths with that information. Julius, dude, you ordered an SVS PB5000 today? Why didn't you reach out to me, bro? I'm not sure how you got it, but that's awesome. Cool upgrade. Let me know how that goes and where you went for it. Chintapit, what you see at the Apple event tomorrow? I think that I don't see a whole lot. I think I see the iPhone, and I don't know. I don't know that we'll really see an Apple TV tomorrow. That's the main question. I think that that I and a lot of this audience maybe would be interested in. And usually, I think we'll see another, not necessarily even another event, but nowadays, like Apple will just do releases and announcements that follow up. Like not everything has to be a full blown on stage event, and it's not uncommon for other things to be announced in like October-ish as well, and to have a larger quantity of more discrete events. And so I think we'll continue to see that. So my gut right now is telling me no new Apple TV tomorrow, perhaps still in the coming weeks or within the next like 4 to 6 weeks or so. And I think largely tomorrow's event will be short and sweet, and it'll be the iPhone and maybe like AirPods or something like that, and that'll be it. So that's my expectation for tomorrow. We'll see. I'm curious what other folks think. Put your predictions in. What do you think Apple will be sharing with us tomorrow? As it is too, I don't even think I'm not on an upgrade year for my phone. It does seem like the 17, the new iPhone may be more unique. Like it'll be a bigger step change perhaps than the last couple of phones have been, which is pretty cool, but we'll see what it is. It'll have to be something really remarkable for me to upgrade, because as it is, I think I'm on basically like a 3-year cycle, and I'm only finishing year 2 of the 3-year cycle. So it'll have to be a pretty amazing device with some really interesting form factor and presentation or something about it. And I think there'll have to be a really great promo deal to pull me early in my upgrade. So again, curious what folks think. Are you shopping iPhones, and what else do you think is coming? I'm going to go. My prediction, we'll see if it's true, is iPhones and AirPods, and then out, and it's going to be like 40 minutes long or something like that, fairly short. Brian, have you heard when the MadVR software will be released? I don't know specifically. Everything is like fall. So if you read their press release and stuff, there's a lot of things that say fall. I haven't turned on my system in a couple weeks to see if I've gotten any updates, if like the dynamic subtitle overlay is in the alpha ring. I have my Envy set to whatever the super beta early release ring is. And at least as of the last time I checked it, it actually hasn't updated in a while. So that's one thing that had left me wondering as well, like what was kind of going on. So going to AudioVice, I was hoping to see something, and then CEDIA as well, because I feel like for the last few months, like there hasn't really been much of anything that's come as an update, even bug fixes and stuff, relative to like maybe the first several months of owning it to the last few months of owning it have been a lot more quiet with the updates. But again, everything is fall. And so, I mean, fall can take us all the way into basically like November, depending depending on the company. So hello to a few folks, Terminator, Sren as well, and Haiku Player. Welcome everybody. Got a lot of friends hanging out, and a bunch of other folks as well. Always appreciated. Let's see, we already hit that one. So Trin, yeah, what's your thoughts on the Trinnov Altitude CI? So talked about it a little bit already. I think it's cool. I think the form factor is nice. They're kind of doing in some ways like what MadVR did with basically the Mark IIs and the cores. They're trying to take the form factor and advance it a little bit, away from feeling more rough, like making it feel like less of a PC, right, and more of a piece of integrated equipment. I appreciate that. I think the look and style of the Envy Mark IIs was a major improvement over the Mark I's. And then they're sticking with that. And then I think this is also a very nice presentation improvement to the Trinnov as well. So here, let me do if I do this, actually, give me 1 second here. Let me make a tab group. We'll go ahead and share. We can take a look at some of this stuff. New empty group. Let's move this into here. Boom. All right, go here, back to here. Window going. Keep away. All right, and we're going to present, share the screen, window, allow, and this one. Boom. All right, so everybody's looking. Okay, there we go. Trinnov CI. Let's take a look at this together a little bit. Zooming in. So I love it. I like the cleaner. It looks like a piece of like consumer electronics and less kind of like a brute force PC, basically. The display is pretty cool. I'm sure there's a lot of customizability to this. Maybe some touchscreen capability as well, perhaps. Just looking sharp. And again, as a preamplifier, it doesn't need to be crazy huge. So here's the back panel. So what do we got? 1, 2, 3, 4 HDMI inputs, 2 outputs. We've got a service HDMI, a couple of USB ports, the microphone input, and then analog out 1 to 8, AES out 1 to 16, 17 to 32, AES in, coax and optical audio. Oh, interesting. 1, 2, 3 Ethernet ports, high performance home theater preamp optimizer, USB, another service port, USB this time, RS-232. Got some triggers, 1, 2, 3, 4 triggers, power cord, and so switch. So again, I wonder if you know the answer to this. Somebody post. I'm really falling behind in the comments. If do they make these multi-pin to like a XLR fan out, or is it only like they have to have that cable, because I presume that some people will want to buy this without having connecting it to Trinnov amplifiers. So, but yeah, so bringing this to the CI world. I don't know if I didn't see price on this as well. So I'm really curious to see what this thing ends up costing and what the like ramp up is, because this is cool as well. Available from 8 to 32 outputs, configurable in 2-channel steps to match exact projects precisely. So that's great as well. I think having configurable channels that you can buy what you need really helps the product, because if you're like on the cusp, they have like a 32. If you were to offer like a 16, a 32, and a 64, it could be a hard pill to swallow to like have 34 channels or something and then need to buy a 64 versus needing to buy the specific model. So having it flexible is good. I wonder if actually even buying less might even be buying less than 8 might even also be something that they might want to consider. Like if somebody wanted to use this as not necessarily just a surround sound type of preamp. So I'm going to try to run through some of these comments really quick and catch up a little bit on some of this so we can be talking about the same things. Let me jump to the bottom and then we'll flip back up to the top. So, oh, hey, welcome, Mike. Mike Cobb is here. If anybody has Kaleidoscape questions, throw them in the chat. Definitely a breakout cable. Yeah, he uses them with this Trinnov. Shrin's saying it seems you need their amp. That is what they were telling people. Interesting. Yeah, base price is around $13K with each additional pair being $1250. Similar, yeah, $11K plus $2K per 2 channels. So what would that be then? If it's 8 for 13, and you had a 16 channel, so you're up over 20 grand still to basically do like a 15 channel home theater. 7.4.4 as 15. So you'd have to buy 16. Terminator saying, I think the CI is kind of lame. I don't like that it only has 8 analog outs and then the rest are digital. You have to pay $12.50 for each pair of additional channels. So yeah, I wonder actually if the analog outs. So does that mean you can only use, maybe the breakout cable goes here and you could do 8 channels with the XLRs, but otherwise you need to have the specific ports for the digital outs. Anyway, I should speculate less and I should go research more. So I think this is definitely a product, and that's one reason why I didn't do a video about this one at least yet, is because I need to spend more time with this, coming up to speed on it and kind of learning more about what's going on with it. So yeah, Dante up to 32 output channels, analog, 8 balanced outputs via 1 dB25. So anyway, I like what they're doing with it. And yeah, this is a product and a product category that I'm definitely going to spend some time considering, coming up to speed on, and it's something that I'd like to try out more, and again, maybe offer. I'd like to get to the level of covering Trinnov like I do Kaleidoscape and MadVR. I think it just kind of fits. It's the right fit. So welcome. Oh, Easy Ike's here. Easy HE Tech. Welcome. Hello all. Lots of folks coming in the chat. All right, I'm going to try to roll back and see on these other comments. Oh, Henry Cardona. Setting aside Magnetar's obscene prices, how do you feel about the second generation of players? So that was one thing. I didn't make a video on that because I don't really talk too much about the physical media. Well, I guess I do talk about physical media, but I don't really do discs and stuff myself anymore. So 4K Blu-ray plans rejoice. Magnetar reveals 2 new 4K Blu-ray players at CEDIA Expo 2025. The UDP 900 Mark II and the UDP 800 Mark II arrive with a stacked list of features. SACD support, Dolby Vision HDR10 Plus, Dolby Atmos DTS. I think those are expected features, not packed brand new features. Dual AESS 9038 Pro DACs, dedicated audio HDMI port, XMOS USB playback. Oh, here we go. The 900 and 800 are both expected to arrive stateside by the end of 2025. Wow, priced respectively at $32.99 and $17.99. Well, that's expensive. So my answer to that is you could buy a Kaleidoscape Strato E for less than the price of the UDP 900 Mark II, and I would probably recommend that to most folks, or pretty much everybody. So yeah, that's expensive. That's getting up there. It's funny actually to have parity between a Kaleidoscape player, price parity between a Kaleidoscape player and a high-end Blu-ray player. So I think most folks will know where my recommendation lies there. And then if you want to go even further, to buy yourself a big, well, actually, with that player, you're playing your discs. You're not ripping your discs. I didn't see anything from like the ripping crew, the Arvolutions and the Zapitis of the world and all that stuff. I presume that they probably would have wanted to be present at CEDIA, and I haven't seen a single lick of news about any of that stuff. Terminator saying, besides interesting news, I can't seem to find very many videos of people covering CEDIA 2025 at all. I wonder if I know Michael was there, Youthman was there, and he was filming some stuff. He started to drop some content. I don't know if maybe they had less, maybe there was less, maybe I want to say support for people coming and shooting and doing the live camera coverage kind of stuff. I think last year maybe there was a little bit of pushback against some of that, if I heard some rumoring and stuff correctly. So, or maybe people were just really busy at the show and it's only Monday and they haven't been home yet to put their content and edit their stuff and kind of get their things out. Or maybe there was just not or there was not as much to talk about, perhaps. So yeah, we'll see. Sren saying the Barco and Christie new projectors are pretty cool, even though it's expensive. I haven't really looked at that, at those lines to see what's going on. If there was anything actually new at the show this year. Samsung showed a really interesting 115-inch TV that uses micro RGB technology. Yeah, TVs are getting big. Samsung's micro RGB look virtually identical to OLED. Durability of an LCD TV, but OLED quality. That's pretty cool. Yeah, I'm gonna be paying much more attention to the TV realm, the large format TV realm in the months ahead, and particularly I think with CES. So because I'll be shopping for what display will end up in the living room upstairs. So my project remains ready to go, ready to get ready to get scheduled. Actually, I'm committed. I got the contractor lined up. Sweet. Now it's on me, actually. Not the progress relies on me, not to find somebody, but to get that person all the information that they need so that they're like definitively able to schedule and get the project underway. So what that boils down to is I need to go do a bunch of measuring and then figure out what the altered dimensions are going to be, and then work a little bit on any of like the design and style changes that are going to happen to the wall upstairs. And so I need to decide ultimately how big of a television opening do I want, slash I need to make sure I have enough room to put the speakers in, because there'll be the Focal Utopias going up there, which are the same width as the speakers behind me. And I need to take a little bit of width away from where the speakers are mounted, kind of in the columns to the side right now. But I don't want to take too much away. I want to make sure the speakers are comfortably in there, and but open up the TV. And so we also talked a little bit about adding maybe depth to the wall. So one of my big problems up there has been depth. That the LG G series fits perfect because the TVs are pretty uniformly thick and only about an inch thick, and they sit nicely inside the cubby. If I were to hang like any of the other generally available 100-inch televisions that are out there, some of those can be like 4 inches thick. They'd be like, they're just oozing out of the wall space. But we may bring the footprint of the cubby out, make the cubby deeper, and that would actually give me some more options. So I don't think I'm going to go to 115. I don't think I even have the space to be able to accommodate 115 inches because I would have to take too much width away from the columns and then the speakers wouldn't fit. But I'm pretty sure that I should be able to make the adjustment to fit any of the 97 to 100-inch televisions that are out there. And then depth becomes the only question after that. Student saying Paradigm had some new indivisible speakers. Indivisible speakers. What is an indivisible speaker? I was doing some searching in the background there for Anthem CEDIA, and I didn't find anything. Let's see if I can pull this up quick. Exciting new products. Oh, here it is. Paradigm debuted their new custom, CI speakers, which they referred to as indivisible or invisible series. They showcase 2 completely hidden custom installation systems, marketing them with the tagline "Experience What's Never Been Seen." One of the demonstrations featured a 5.4.4 surround system with indivisible 8-inch series speakers used for the front and surround channels. Interesting. Paradigm introduced new seismic subwoofers designed to fit between their Defiance XR and S lines. I don't think that was most new at CEDIA. I think those were already announced. Paradigm set up a racing simulator at their booth to demonstrate the immersive audio of their high-end Founders series. One of the Paradigm guys he's a big video game racing simulator fan, so it must have been his setup. Full Founder-based surround system. Okay, so yeah, cool, I guess, but for a very specific need. If you're looking for invisible speakers, I don't mind that my in-walls are visible, versus needing to be like mudded over and painted over and completely hidden away. Yeah, Chet, welcome, Chet. Did Lumagen even show anything at CEDIA? So they should have been. I didn't hear anything about that either. What should have been there is the Artisan Lumagen, which I think are already kind of getting long in the tooth relative to when they were first supposed to become available. if they didn't have these running at CEDIA, I think it was probably a little bit of a miss. Let's see. Here's an article from June 11th. Lumagen has announced the latest product, Artisan 8K video processor, slated for release in 2025. Lumagen's webpage says coming fall 2025. Artisan 8K ready. Retail $10,995. Upgrade options for HDMI 2.1. Input and output pass-through upgrade $500. Add HDMI 2.1, 8K and 4K 120. Input and output processing upgrade $2,000. Man, so this thing's getting about as expensive as the non-core MadVR, almost, if you add all the stuff in. Coming fall 2025 with production hardware and beta software. Pre-order now with a 50% deposit and receive $1,000 off retail. Lumagen Radiance Pro enhanced trading credits will be applied to final payment. This is just according to what they say on their webpage. So I think if these weren't at CEDIA, that's kind of a bummer. Doesn't look any. Why am I talking and I'm not showing? Let's add this back in. That one. We'll do this one. So, come on. All right. Yeah, so I was just reading. This is the Lumagen.com news artisan pre-order purchase special. This goes all the way back to May 29th, but in any case, that's the latest info that's here. Looks the same. If we go back down here, looks pretty much the same. Just says artisan printed on there. Ultra low HDMI output jitter. Award-winning in-motion image video processing, proprietary algorithms, etc. So, yeah. Oh, here, Dave comment. Lumagen did bring the processor. They didn't have it running. That's kind of a bummer. That's really kind of a bummer, I have to say. At least from the business opportunity, right? They missed the business opportunity to showcase their stuff in function, working, and all of that at the kind of key opportunity. I think that they would have wanted it to be showcased at. So, yeah, Chet's MadVR is basically eating Lumagen's lunch now. And I don't want to talk bad about any brands and stuff like that, but I definitely think, especially with their announcements at the show, and I believe that they had the Core Mark III, at least MadVR did at the show, if they didn't have the Extreme Mark IIIs and stuff like that. But I think that's been the case for a while. I think is that if you compare the two products against each other, two brands against each other, it just has to be said that MadVR is kind of the more exciting. They have the more exciting stuff going on. The faster moving product line, the more kind of like cutting edge capabilities and new features and software and all that kind of stuff. So it's a bummer. I think they might have missed. Lumagen might have missed an opportunity to. Lumagen might have missed their opportunity to showcase kind of what's going on stuff there. Juice saying, use your link, check your email. Cool. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. I've seen a huge, I always hate to pester about like the affiliate stuff and all that. But it's funny how like the use of links kind of ebbs and flows. And it's one of those things where it's like, if you don't constantly remind people don't use the stuff. And you just miss opportunities to be able to generate some value and stuff out of it. But I always feel lame like constantly asking. But if you don't ask, it doesn't happen. So anyway, if you're shopping, please use the regular affiliate links. If you're shopping for definitively home theater, audio, video stuff, if you're shopping online, use the affiliate links. And I've even added a ton of them. There's even some like apparel and some other stuff. eBay now. There's so many of them that are available down in the descriptions and on the webpage and stuff. And please do get in touch with me directly if you're shopping home theater upgrades. I'm carrying close to 30 brands now. I'm adding to that. There's more going on behind the scenes that I can already kind of access a little more directly that I haven't specifically put on the dealer listing. So please do get in touch if I can help you. Happy to consult. And if I can't help you, I'll get you on the path to somebody that can 100%. Back to the Apple event. Srin saying iPhone, watch. Oh yeah, the watch and AirPods Max. Yep, I upgrade every year my phone. I used to do that as well, but the last 5 years, I kind of fell off the yearly phone pathway. We'll see. I am running all the software though. I've been running the 26 software on everything, including my Mac, for a while. So it'll be nice for all of that stuff to come out of beta and get released. But yeah, I forgot about the watch. I would agree with that as well. So I'll amend my prior prediction and say that tomorrow I agree with Srin. It'll be watch, iPhone watch, and AirPods, and there will not be an Apple TV tomorrow. Yeah, Pros, not Max. Yeah, the AirPod Pros. Yep. I think the version 3, there was already a rumor about those. I love mine. I don't use the Pros. I like the regular AirPods. I don't like the more inner ear fit and feel of the Pros. Just even the noise canceling of the regular AirPods now, which I appreciate because I can use them on a plane. I can use them in certain places. That stuff in the way that I did buy the Pros, like the version 2s or whatever. It might have even, no, the version 1s even. I'm like, oh yeah, this is cool. I want to try to switch over to these, and it didn't stick. I ended up taking them back. I didn't like the more in-ear feeling, the in-ear feeling of those. But yeah, so tomorrow, phone, watch, and AirPods. I agree. Sure. And DSO is not ready. They're posting on AVS forum. Interesting. Okay, I don't visit AVS forum in my life nearly as much as I did in years past, several years past. But so it's fall. Everything is fall. Demon is saying, will Envy Core be worth getting for an OLED now that it offers gaming input? So again, in my opinion, you have to really weigh what you want an Envy or video processor in general to do in your setup. So I think the value proposition of those types of devices maximizes itself the more things that you have it do in your system. And I think it naturally does more things in a projection environment than a flat panel environment. But one of the things, and I didn't make a video on this, I have some footage that I filmed actually at Audio Device Live, chatting with Rick and Ryan and Joey and the MadVR guys, is because I do get this question a lot, and I actually had another customer of mine that was considering one for a flat panel, and he just hates black bars, and he would like to use NLS to stretch his image vertically and get rid of some of the black bars on his flat panel. And I didn't give that use case a ton of credence, but and I think it's maybe asking a lot to fully stretch the black bars off your screen, at least when you're watching like 240 content. If you're watching like 185 content on a 16:9 panel, yeah, you could probably NLS the couple of little black strips off and get rid of them. If you're talking about like 2.0 content, you're probably like NLSing maybe half the black bars away. But still, that's a use case that I didn't give much credence to. If I change my screen, it's something that I may end up actually actively doing and using, perhaps depending on which screen aspect ratio I do end up going with. But I've never needed to try it in any of my setups. So I don't know. You'd have to say, is that something that you would want to do? If you buy the core and you get the premium package with it, well, you could use the DSO feature, the dynamic subtitle overlay. So do you use subtitles a lot? And do you want them to like kind of look and present better and integrate more with the picture and the content that you're watching? Okay, that's another feature that you may take advantage of with a core. Are you disappointed in the HDR processing and some of that capability of your regular TV or not? I think then. So those are the types of questions that I would ask. So I can't really give like a yes or no answer, a hard yes or no answer to this. Is it worth getting for an OLED? Now that it offers a gaming input, it is far more integratable, which is a nice thing. Although in a flat panel environment, I would say you can work around the video processor in a flat panel setup a lot easier than you can in a projection setup, because you probably have your sources more in the direct vicinity of your television, and you probably have 4 inputs, whereas projectors often usually only have 2 HDMI inputs. And then the projector has to be only the video sync. It's not an audio source. Whereas depending on your setup, like you could have a setup where like, let's say you have like a Blu-ray player, you could have a streamer box, you could have a Blu-ray player, you could have a Kaleidoscope, etc., whatever it may be, multiple video sources switching through a receiver, whose output goes to a MadVR, which goes to the input of the television. And then you still have like a switch, or you have a PlayStation, or you have a PC and a switch or something. Well, then you could take those video gaming sources, you could go directly into the television, and then you still have a fourth HDMI that you could audio return channel back to the AVR. So in that setup, you didn't actually need to pass your gaming sources through the television. So you gotta weigh like so many different factors, like where things are, the routing, the cabling, the type of display, and all that. It becomes a really complex question. And then, of course, also, if you're going to spend the 10 grand, what else, or almost 10 grand, what else would you do with that money? And how could it be impactful in your theater in a different way? So the answer is a solid. It depends. It depends, but it really depends on what you want to do with it. But to me, these things are very expensive, and the more that you have it do, the more it is easier to justify its value in your system. And I did a video about my use of the Envy down here, um, where I'm using like 12 different features of that thing. And so it's like it's real key in this specific home theater setup. Whereas on the upstairs, it wouldn't even really be doing a quarter of the same things that it does down here. Certain saying audio control had new receivers and processors, come with direct art out of the box. So that's a brand that like gets hardly any. I actually have access to that brand if people are interested in audio control stuff. I actually can sell it through the distribution that I'm connected with. But I feel like they're such a dark horse in the conversation, in the lineup of things. There's like a couple of brands like them, like Audio Control. I think Stark Sound is another one that I think are they're secretly like prolific out there in the home theater space, but nobody ever talks about it, and they really don't get any press. Dave's saying, yeah, generally you don't use a processor with an OLED. Yep, generally you don't. It all boils down to use case. Like, what is it going to do for you? Like, maybe you watch like a lot of really old stuff. You've got some old sources, and you want to take advantage of like certain types of upscaling and deinterlacing algorithms and things. There's edge cases, but it really depends. Really depends. Let's see, getting through some questions here. Brian, could Kscape add an option to start script scenes 10 seconds earlier to allow the scripts to avoid the sync up delay? That's the only time it bothers me in the first 2 seconds. Mike's here, so hopefully Mike's reading your comment. Yeah, HDMI delay is always a pain. One of the coolest things, so here we go, video processor talk, right? And I made the video on this as well. One of the coolest things that I can accomplish in here, I think, with the MadVR is, but I can only do this with the Apple TV. And depending, everything has to align, but I can basically get zero delay, zero HDMI delay from the Apple TV through the whole chain to the screen, because of the MadVR. Basically, if you run the Apple TV at 4K with 24 hertz menus, and you run the UI in 4K, and then you play a 4K HDR piece of content, everything is already in the right color space, everything is already in the right resolution, everything is already in the right frame rate, and everything is already in the right dynamic range mode, and boom, you get zero sync time. So one of the things I've asked a lot, a number of times, I think Mike well knows, is I really would love to be able to do HDR menus, put the kaleidoscope in like always HDR menus, and then we would functionally be able to accomplish the same thing in your setup with that. Again, using the MadVR, because you don't really want to run a 24 hertz menu without motion AI or some compensation cleaning it up, because it's kind of ugly and painful to navigate. But if you have the motion AI, it really works. So it's pretty cool. Hockey player saying, I saw the Magnetar player spent time with their engineer and president. Think of an Oppo UDP 205 with a modern chipset. Yeah, if you're into physical media, it's the highest and only game in town. Yep, I agree with that. Basically, as I think some of the other high-end physical media player brands have fallen out of the market this year. That's pretty much it. So if you love your discs and you're sticking with them, and you want the premium experience, I think that would probably be the way to go. Julia is saying, I read that soon the SVS app will be able to perform an auto EQ using our phones. Yep. I don't know when it's going to be available, and I'm sure they'll do a good job with it. Probably the reason it's not available is because they're making sure to uh, qualify it, debug it, test it out, and all that stuff. But yes, this is an acknowledged feature that's coming. I thought this is another one that I thought maybe would have been here already. So let's say that, or make an assumption that they're working probably really hard, I think, to get this feature out this calendar year, is would be my expectation. So that is not a release announcement. But if I were in charge of SVS development, I would be trying to make that also a fall release. Fall is just such a key time to get capability out, because you got holiday shopping, you got buying season coming up. You want, any brand making stuff is going to want its best foot forward for features and capabilities and all that stuff. Oh, I missed this one. Should get this one right away. Thanks, Dave. $10 super chat. Thanks. Bye, Jeremy. Cup of coffee. Thanks for everything you do for our hobby. Love it. Thank you so much. Much appreciated. Oh, it's almost 6 o'clock. So yeah, we'll be wrapping up here pretty quick. I'll try to get through the remainder of the comments. If you have any last questions or comments, drop them in there. I'm going to speed this up a little bit and then call it a day. We got family activities probably tonight. Actually, we'll probably get some dinner with the family, or at least my son up there. My daughter's off to soccer. And then we're going to rock out on some TMNT Splintered Fate, I think, tonight. Mike saying, definitely had some social media folks visit the booth and shoot video. So yeah, it's coverage is likely coming. Let's see. Terminator saying, I watched a video of Epson pitch for their new high lumens projector line, and the off-screen footage made the Epson look washed out and the JVC look too dark. But they didn't have frame adapt HDR on. Yeah, stick with the JVCs. Like saying, yeah, plenty of CD coverage. We are only now getting back home. Yep, starting to work on the videos. A lot of people came home on Sunday-ish, I think. So it's only Monday. Probably there'll be a trickle of stuff coming out. See some engagement between Brian and Mike about the feature. Yeah, Mike's, yeah, Lumagen was there with the booth. Yeah, they really needed that artisan to be online. Daily Show magazine said they delivered their first 8K unit. I wonder if that was like maybe an early delivery or test. Mars 73, is Dolby Vision 2 going to put a hold on your purchase? That's a good question. I more than likely, I really will try to stick with a 97-inch LG in the setup rather than changing out to some other type of 100-inch LCD. But we'll see. Price and availability and stuff like that may play a factor. Once I get the wall rebuilt as well, it's going to be a hard wait to like wait for a 97 G6 or something like that. So I might just look to also try to cash in on deals for existing stock that are going out. Somebody mentioned to me the other day actually that Best Buy had 97-inch G2s for $9,000, which is like, it's like $25,000 television for $9,000. Still a lot though. It's still a lot compared to the price of the 100-inch LCDs. But I don't know. I have a lot of work to do behind the scenes on this as well, trying to get in touch with folks and see if we can, what kind of opportunities and stuff can come out of that. Yeah, easy. The artisan was there. Cool. Like player gave Sony an earful. He was at CEDIA about backing out of 3D support, except for the 380. None of their projectors support it. 700 3D titles. Will never buy Sony again without 3D. Yeah, I don't know. I think I might be here. 3D. I don't know. At least in the US, the market isn't there. Yeah, go to Europe or Japan. Films were released in 3D, so you can import 3D. Yeah. Something, all the HDMI chipsets already have 3D in them. Even the new Valerians have 3D. JVC still does. Yeah, marketing decision. Yeah, 3D never clicked for me. I don't know. I think I'm just too I'm sensitive to certain elements of like motion and visual presentation with my eyes and stuff like that. So like I don't 3D didn't fly with me. The couple of times that we tried it, both at the commercial cinema and then using like a 3D television at home. So on any of my projectors, I've never bought the transmitter and the glasses and that sort of stuff. Um, Never really bought any 3D physical media either. I'm trying to think what we were actually watching. It must have been a Blu-ray. Um, but it didn't stick that I ended up like continue to invest and collect in it. Same thing with the Vision Pro, like the headsets and the VR stuff. There's certain elements of tech and I'm almost starting to feel this way a little bit with like AI where like man, like am I getting old? Am I actually like turning into a Luddite for for some things cuz like certain elements of like newer types of technology I can't I just never I didn't use them, they didn't click with me and I'm fine kind of ignoring them. um so Brian saying SVS said they're adding external microphone option and expect it to release soon. I would guess within a few months. Yeah, probably this fall. Maddie Daddy 14, did you decide on a TV? So we touched on that a little bit in the stream. Um, I haven't decided. No, I have a contractor set. I have a quote in my hand, and I have a ready ability to like get on the dude's schedule, and get the project going, get the wall redone. He's giving a timeline of about 2 weeks. 1 week to tear it down. Um, 1 week to tear it down and um, reframe and kind of get things set. And then we'll have a weekend and then 1 week to button it all back up, drywall, clean it, paint it, retrim it, and all of that, which is perfect because then in the interim weekend, I can drill my holes and route my cables and put some conduit and some other things back there. So I can really have the flexibility that I want that behind that wall. Um, but it's dependent on me now. I need to spend a couple of hours like measuring and defining the adjusted dimensions of the new design, and then we'll go forward from there. So I don't feel compelled that I need to figure out the TV decision per se in the short term. We'll get the project done. The new speakers will go in, and I have everything else. Then we'll have a completely working system again, but based on the Utopias and using the NAD M23s as the monoblocks and stuff. And we'll be rocking again. And then I'll be looking at the smaller 83-inch screen sitting in this bigger inset hole, and then I'll really get the fire lit to make the TV decision. So, and I need to really do some research. But what I need to do go is look at the market. What I really need to do is look at the market of available televisions right now and kind of get a maximum minimum dimension set and an understanding of like what are the depths, and then we can define, okay, we want the inset to be this big, and then going forward for the next couple of decades or whatever, I'll assuming we're living here in this house, I'll feel comfortable that any new set is going to fit into the inset, and then figure out the depth question as well. So it'll be underway here soon, definitely within the month. So yeah, looking forward to that. um Mike saying 3D plus high frame rate look good for Avatar 2. Nice. At the Laser IMAX in San Francisco. Yeah, it looks amazing in the Vision Pro. Only seen one home projector that looked good. It was a Christie, yeah, running 144 FPS. The experience in the Vision Pro was actually like the immersive video and that sort of stuff. I don't want to say that I didn't like it. My limitation was I can't use it for any long periods of time. Um, I was really excited about the Vision Pro actually, but it didn't last the return period for me because just sitting with it for an extended session just really didn't work. So we'll see if there ends up being a version 2. I'll probably be inclined to try it out again. One of my big interests for it was, excuse me, was reading like digital comics with really big pages and making it really easy to read and stuff. But I'm curious though too. My eyesight has definitely changed a lot in particularly like the last 18 months or so. So I don't know if that would affect if that would further affect my ability to use the Vision Pro well or effectively as things get blurry to certain distances from my face and stuff now. Welcome to late 40s. Cool. All right, 6:12. I'm gonna go catch up with the boys. So yeah, we haven't watched any movies. I've been keeping up with Peacemaker. Actually the other night I watched episodes 2 and 3. So I'm going to try to keep that on a weekly basis. There's some other shows that I want to try to get to a little bit more as well. But we put a good amount of time into Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Splintered Fate, kind of per my community post. So we're having some fun with that. The roguelite gameplay loop and making our runs. I don't think the game will last many more hours, but the time that we've played it has been really fun, and I'm eager to get back in. So I think we might do some of that tonight, and then go looking for another game. So if anybody has any gaming suggestions, 2-player, same screen co-op, character developable, upgrade, roguelite-ish type of game loop, post in the comments. I'm curious for some suggestions, because I think we'll be looking for another game along similar lines. Cool. All right, that's it, folks. My voice is parched as well. Everybody, a lot of friends hanging out tonight. Other folks, I think we got to all the comments and questions that came in. Thanks, Hockey, for the super chat. Much appreciated. So we'll be back. We missed last week because of the holiday, but again, back on these Mondays, hanging out, chatting, talking about topics. We'll have the Apple event to talk about next week. We'll see what the predictions are. And yeah, we'll see you next week. Coming back for more home theater discussion and fun. And look for the comments soon. Thanks, everybody. Have a good one.